much, Katie, and thank you to everyone who's joining us here. I want to just welcome us all to yet again another episode of how Republicans in Congress are making life more challenging and, frankly speaking, downright hard for Virginians. This is where we're at. Every few weeks we reconvene to highlight the crisis that Republicans are bringing on Virginia's families. I'm Senator Ghazala Hashmi, and I chair the Education and Health Committee in the Virginia Senate. And I'm so glad that we will soon be joined by my friend and former colleague, Congresswoman Jen McClellan, and these close organizational partners and community members who are here today to illustrate how devastating the SNAP cuts will be for us in Virginia. You know, when I first joined the Virginia Senate in 2020, I asked to serve on the Senate Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources Committee. And that's because I know, as so many of us know, that Virginia's farmers are an essential part of our state economy, and SNAP helps to power our local farming economies. But Republicans have passed the most substantial cut to SNAP in history because they care more about billionaire tax handouts than they do about hardworking families across this country. These SNAP cuts will not only impact hundreds of thousands of people who rely on this program to put food on the table, but they will also impact our grocery stores and our local farmers whose customers buy products using SNAP funds. I know we're going to hear from one of these grocery stores today, and I thank Mr. Houston for being here. I also want to recognize the Commonwealth Institute for Fiscal Analysis, as well as Voices for Virginia's Children, for putting together these very thoughtful reports on how these cuts are going to impact both our state budget as well as Virginia's families. And I'll let them speak in detail about what their findings show. But the reality is that the federal government is shifting up to $352 million in SNAP costs to Virginia's budget. And this comes at a time when Virginia is already reeling and struggling with all the other federal cuts, as well as job losses from DOGE. This bill also includes more stringent requirements that are going to make it harder for people to stay enrolled in SNAP. And just one example is of our veterans. Our veterans will now have to comply with a work requirement that they were previously exempted from. And so for context, this means 35,000 Virginia veterans who rely on the program, and veterans who already have so many barriers, including health conditions, when it comes to finding employment, that they are going to have to meet these new work requirements. So let me be clear, no veteran who has served this country should ever have to worry about going hungry in this country. SNAP helps over 800,000 people in Virginia to put food on their table, and these cuts will result in more than half of them losing at least some of their benefits. Times are already tough right now, and cost, especially the cost of housing, is already so high. People shouldn't have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. And I know that we have a local mother here today who's going to share her story about how SNAP is the reason that she right now doesn't have to make that terrible choice. So while food justice champions like Congresswoman McClellan fight to restore federal SNAP funds, my colleagues and I in the Virginia Senate Democratic Caucus, we're doing our part to prepare for the coming storm. So let's be clear, cutting food assistance funds will not make hunger go away. Yes. Senate Democrats understand that, and we have already been meeting through our Senate Special Subcommittee on Federal Impacts to Resources to understand the full scope of these cuts and to recommend options for our consideration in the 2026 session. We can and we must proactively fight back against these SNAP cuts. Families, farmers, and our local grocery stores are counting on us. Thank you.